Hi, my name is Schyler Church. I am a California real estate broker, as well as a member of the education department at Accredited Real Estate Schools. We provide those course requirements to be eligible to take the state exam, but also a ton of different preparation options so you're prepared to pass that state exam. And here we're going to be talking about some practice questions to help you study, specifically relating to agency. So this is the second area of the California state exam. It's approximately 17% of it. So you really need to make sure you're proficient in agency for passing the state exam, but also for day-to-day life as a licensed real estate agent. This is extremely important to know. So let's go over some top questions that you should know about agency. And if you like this video also and these videos that we keep producing, make sure to subscribe and like our videos, and we'll keep producing some new content. The first question, 1. An agency relationship is best established by A, implied contract by law, B, voluntary by agents, C, written contract, D, oral agreement. Well, automatically you should know any agreement, not just for agency, but any agreement should always be in writing. That is your best bet. Also, because the statute of frauds, on a lot of times it needs to be in writing, but an agency agreement, that is best done as an express contract, but more specifically in writing. So it should be written contract. That is the best way to establish an agency relationship, and it's the best way to have any type of agreement. So written contract. 2, the buyer's agent should disclose his or her relationship to other persons involved in a sales transaction. A, before escrow closes. B, 30 days before escrow closes. C, as soon as possible. D, none of the above. Well, you should automatically be thinking of agency disclosure, and when that needs to be done, well, it needs to be done as soon as possible or as soon as practicable. It needs to be done ASAP. Everybody needs to know who's representing who within a transaction within a very timely manner. It's not set by law of how soon it needs to be done. So as soon as possible is the correct answer. You might be thinking, well, that's kind of a little vague. Maybe it's none of the above. This is where it's a simple question, but it could be relatively tricky. So you do need to know for this particular purpose, it is as soon as possible. And remember, agency disclosure is 3 steps. You disclose, you elect, and you confirm. So make sure to keep that in mind, and that needs to be done as soon as possible. 3. A position of trust assumed by the broker as an agent for a principal is described most accurately as an employment relationship, B, fiduciary relationship, C, trustor relationship, D, gratuitous relationship. This is a relatively easy question if you've been studying agency. When you think of agency and the relationship you have as a real estate agent with your principal, you should automatically be thinking of fiduciary relationship. Because, as I say, when you're looking at questions, before even reading the answer options, understand what the question's asking and formulate your own thought process of what the answer is without even knowing what answer options are provided. So when you're talking about agency relationship that you have with your principal and in regards to a position of trust, you should automatically be assuming or thinking of fiduciary relationship. And that is an answer option here. And clearly the other options are not correct answers. An employment relationship, no, that's not something we have with our principal. Trustor relationship, a trustor, remember, deals with the deed of trust and is the borrower. Gratuitous relationship, there is a thing called a gratuitous agent, but that's not what we're talking about here. So the best answer is fiduciary relationship. And let's go through this again. So the little diagram that we have for an agency relationship. So when we are the agent and representing our principal, so on either side, let's say we're the listing agent representing our seller, well, we have an agency relationship to the seller and we have a fiduciary duty to the seller. If we are the selling agent, we then have a fiduciary duty to the buyer. That is the principal that we directly have an agency relationship with. Now, if we are a listing agent, and then what type of relationship do we have to other third parties? So for instance, like the buyer, well, we have a duty of honest and fair dealing. It's less than a fiduciary duty, but it is something where we have to be honest and fair to other third parties. And also we have the requirement to disclose all material facts. So keep this diagram in mind. This will help you a lot with the agency section. Question number 4. According to the law of agency in the Civil Code, the fiduciary duty of the agent for the buyer is A, being a sub-agent, B, telling the buyer which escrow company to use, C, giving the buyer advice about how to hold title, D, acting with the utmost care, integrity, loyalty, and honesty on behalf of the buyer. Well, let's see here. We're talking about agency and specifically a fiduciary duty of the agent to the buyer. So of the agent for the buyer. So, well, when we're talking about here, we know automatically we cannot tell anybody who to use escrow. We can give recommendations and referrals, but we cannot force any of our principals to use a specific escrow company or title company, etc. And we also cannot give advice about how to hold title, how title should be vested. We are not allowed to give tax, legal advice, and we're not allowed to give advice regarding holding title. That is beyond our scope of duty and our knowledge base. So being a sub-agent, that is something that deals with agency, but not in regards to the question for the best answer, because we're talking about fiduciary duty. And a fiduciary duty is one that we act with the utmost care, integrity, loyalty, and honesty on behalf of the buyer. Thus, the correct answer is D, acting with the utmost care, integrity, loyalty, and honesty on behalf of the buyer. Question number 5. The broker, as agent of the seller, owes the buyer A, only a duty to disclose any item which relates directly to the sales price of the property, B, the same fiduciary obligations he owes to the seller, C, only the duty to answer questions honestly, D, the duty of honest and fair dealing. So the broker is agent of the seller. So if he is the listing agent or she. Well, what do they owe the third party in the transaction, which is the buyer in this case? Well, you should be thinking of that diagram we had just shown and talked about. Remember, they owe a duty of honest and fair dealing to the third parties in the transaction, which is the buyer in this case. So the best answer is D, the duty of honest and fair dealing, as well though as the duty to disclose all material of facts about a property. So basically, only a duty to disclose any item which relates directly to the sales price of the property. No, that's not the only duty that the agent has. And the agent does not have the same fiduciary duty obligations to the buyer as he does to the seller. He only has fiduciary obligations to the seller. Only the duty to answer questions honestly. Well, he does have the duty of being honest, but also of being fair, disclosing material facts. So there's more to it. So only is the big keyword too between them in those answer options. So again, remember, here is this agency relationship diagram that we have between the agent and the principal, the fiduciary duty they would have, and then the duty of honest and fair dealing to the other third parties. So I hope this video was helpful for you in your studies. This is agency. So once you master agency, it's actually a pretty easy area. Easier, I guess, than a lot of the other areas. But there is a lot to know about it. So hopefully you learned something. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to contact us at Accredited and make sure to check out our other exam preparation options that we offer. We have a 3,600 question database of practice questions as one of our tools to help you prepare. So I have that link posted below if you're interested in it, as well as a bunch of different things. And also make sure to like and subscribe these videos so we keep producing new content and new videos on our channel. Thanks for watching and good luck with your licensing journey.